So they're going to get us ready right at 8.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the table. Welcome to the grown folks table tonight. We're so glad that you're pulling up to have some grown folks conversation. Are you all ready to have some grown folks conversation tonight?
Bring it on.
Let's do it.
Well, I have been waiting to sit down at the table with my sisters like the rest of the world on Tuesday afternoon. Many Americans were glued to the TV awaiting the verdict of George Floyd. So, the question is really out there. Are we making progress, or is this a false hope? And I just want to dive right into it. Tell me, Joyce, how did it make you feel when you saw the verdict come out? Did it give you hope? Do you think we're progressing? Tell me, talk about it.
Well, it had to give me a little hope because of the result. You had to feel, good about at least this one, was on our side. So for that reason, I felt pretty good. Plus, I was in work mode, and I run a news and talk station, so we were right there trying to get the information out. And a lot of the callers that we were even entertaining after the verdict was read was people were elated about the results of it, and just in that instant moment that everyone, including myself, was, because if you haven't been under a rock, there have been a lot of cases where it did not go in the same favor. And I think that's where the apprehension with people were. It's like, okay, I just hope we don't have to deal with this thing again. And because it went that way, and for great reason, the man had his knee on this man's neck and killed him. And so, because of that, and because of the guilty verdict on all three counts, I was happy. I was happy about it. And I have to say I hope that it is the beginning, that there are other cases. One happened the very same day, and we can see this, in the future. I think it's progress.
What about you? Vicky? Go ahead. I see you trying to take care.
I was hopeful. It did give me hope, but I also was reserved in that hope, in that I knew that one case would not solve our problems. I was glad that it came back the way it did, but I felt cautious not to put a false sense of security about where we really are. And that's why, Joyce, we could have the same thing later, something play out, not a foot on the neck, not a knee on the neck, but where an officer is involved in a fatality with a 15, 16-year-old young lady in Columbus, Ohio. And it seemed like a knee jerk,
Yes.
It seems like it was a quick kind of response. So while I was excited for George Floyd's family, for the community, for us as a people, for me as a mom and a grandmother, I couldn't stay in that place too long, because within hours, my heart was broken over a baby, not a 40, 50, a baby. And so I'm guarded. I'm very cautious about where are we really? Where are we? Have we really, until we have a reformation that occurs within our law enforcement community, I think we're going to be visiting this kind of thing on the regular, unfortunately.
But you know what? I feel that we're going to continuously visit it. But I think because of the past, then we had, even I guess I'm speaking for me, that I had to celebrate the moment.
Mm-hmm.
The moment was that we were all looking for a guilty,
Mm-hmm.
and for the moment we got that. We got that guilty, based on what people have been doing in the streets, based on this young lady standing on the side of the street with her camera saying, I'm about to catch all this, with having that kind of mentality, to stand there and witness that. I think if I was back then, I it might have scared me to death. But this person and the people who were recording that knew that this is the thing that we have now that we hadn't had. And I think that's what brought the excitement. Yes. Do I feel like we still got a hell of a lot of work to do? Yes. Yes, we do. And there are going to be cases after cases until some of these officers know that ain't nobody taking this crap anymore. So, that's why for that moment, I was excited and grateful for the family that they, can now, put this to bed, and then we move on, because that's what's happening. We're now moving on.
Well, if you're watching tonight, let us know in the chat. Put down, do you feel this is some type of progress? Do you feel that we're making progress? Or do you think this is false hope? We would love to hear from you. Delois, tell us about where were you when the verdict came out, and how did it make you feel?
Well, I was sitting in the kitchen getting ready to eat my chicken wings. But I would tell you, I felt from the beginning this was coming back guilty. And I felt that, and I had told my husband, I said, because when they came back within, 9 hours, it was not a long, they did not go out for a long, not debate is not the word, but they were not out very long, I think, trying to deliberate on this. So for me, that made me feel that it was going to come back a guilty verdict. However, I feel that this is the beginning. I know I'm with Joyce. Yes, of course, it's something to celebrate at that moment. But at the same time, we know this does not mean what has happened in Black America and in our Black communities. Not at all. Congress must act to address these issues on police brutality at the federal level. These things must happen. So as we celebrate at the same time, yes, we must keep the work going. They have to continue to protest. And I think they are trying to pass some legislation. So that has to happen as well. And but they're going to start with, these investigators, they have to get the right people. And that's why I think it starts. So, but yes, I was excited about that, the conviction. That's something we have been talking about. But there has been so many shootings since this trial began. And also, and when you think about Chauvin, he's like the sixth officer to have been convicted in 15 years, in the line of duty, who have killed someone. And that's awful when you think of over 200 Blacks been killed by police officers. And it's only 6. So yes, is there work to do? Yes, we still have to continue to fight.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Congress, because one of the things I look at the leadership when it comes to how we live and how we move. And now that we have the right leadership in the office, I think that it's upon us to beckon the president to make this a part of his agenda immediately. We have a lot of things to focus on, but this is a place where we have been bleeding as a people for years, and it's really, really, really important that the president begin to make a shift immediately on the behalf of African Americans. Libya, tell me, what did you think when you heard the verdict? Where were you, and how did it make you feel?
Well, I was vacationing when I heard, and to be honest with you, I was in TJ Maxx on my vacation, shopping, pushing my buggy, and I decided to put on CNN on the app so that I can hear and listen and be present in the moment when the verdict came down. I didn't want to hear it third hand. I didn't want to read about it. I wanted to be in the moment of when the verdict came down. So I'm in TJ Maxx, going through the line, and the verdict comes down. Luckily, I got to the cashier enough to be able to pay to get in my car to really let my emotions flow. But for me, the verdict is one of these things that, you know how it is when you can have a utopia moment, but you know within yourself that the utopia moment is only for a moment in time. Uh, and that's what the verdict was for me. It was celebratory in a great way because we needed this. Our movement needed this. Our mental capacity of what we've gone through, it needed this. Our hearts needed to know that people do care about what we've been protesting and marching about, and what mothers have cried about, what siblings have not been able to sleep over, and or wives and children. So it was important for our community to have this, and even beyond our community at this point, because the George Floyd incident went worldwide. You had people protesting and marching in Paris. You had people, as Van said on CNN, you had people doing it in Idaho, and we know how much of a Black percentage is in Idaho. So it meant a big deal in a lot of spaces. Corporate America, they decided to change a whole bunch of things about their diversity and inclusion because of the George Floyd incident. We needed a guilty verdict on all accounts. We needed to be able to say, this is wrong. There's no slap on the hand. This is wrong. And you know who else needed? Good police officers needed it.
Yes.
They needed to know, for people to know that they don't condone this behavior, that they do not agree with this, and this dark side of this police world and this systemic stuff that's going on is not acceptable by those who are trying to make good apples. And
Yes.
so for me, it was a lot of emotions. I was very full. I mean, I was in tears. I was, my spirit just felt something. I thought about his daughter a lot. I thought about the fact that her memory, and as she gets older, that video of a police officer on her father's neck will always be, that will be something that will be part of her memory of her father. She will be able to see that for the rest of her life. She would not be able to avoid seeing that video. And I don't care what picture she get from the family. I don't care what story she get from the family. I don't care what memory she had of doing things with him. There's going to be that thing within her that's going to say that my father's life was taken away from him, for no reason, that it could have been avoided. And so I thought a lot about that. I thought about how many Black men and women, how many had to die to get to to our Rosa Parks in the form of George Floyd. That's what it was. George Floyd is the Rosa Parks of the movement. We know there were many Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks.
Right.
But it took Rosa Parks
to
begin to kick off the movement of the civil rights movement. So George Floyd kicked off something in this movement that I think we will not go back. And as I think somebody commented in the comments and say, ain't no stopping us now. I think that there is a lot of work to do. And I think we're going to do a lot of work. It does give us momentum. But it's still a sad commentary that we live in a time where we're progressing so much and doing so much, and African Americans have moved into so many different spaces that we now have to still contend with the fact that we have to make people believe that our lives matter.
Yes. Hence my shirt tonight. Yeah. I have on my Black Lives Matter shirt. And that's the first thing I shouted when I heard the verdict. I said, Black Lives Matter. And I tagged I put the hashtag in every group I was a part of, and with the hands raised, because that is what it did for me. It was Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
And for those that are uncomfortable with it, it's just as if you was to put TOO at the end. And so Black Lives Matter too. And I think that's, for me, that is what that verdict did for me. I think it also did that for the younger generations who didn't grow up actually experiencing some of the things that we experience when it comes to racism. And so to actually see, okay, if I vote, my vote counts. Okay, if I march and get out there for in protest for a cause, it has an impact. So it's not like we're boxing against, just the win, but we're actually getting results from some of the things that we're doing. And Ben Crumps, oh my gosh, what that did for him and what that did for Black people to have an attorney to win that type of victory. And I'm sure him and his team worked very hard and tiresome surrounding that case and supporting families. He supported quite a few families, but this particular case in particular. But my heart was saddened. It really was, to later on to find out the day the verdict came out, the young lady, Ma'Khia Bryant, 16-year-old in Ohio, who was killed, and she actually called the police. And so I have a fundamental problem with that, is when they see us, they don't see their children, and he didn't see his daughter when he saw her running out with a knife. Immediately, shot her down. That right there just did not sit with me. I'm having a hard time with people saying, oh, but she had a knife. Yeah, but I've seen white cops talk drunk people down from bar fights that have weapons, okay? I've seen them talk them down. Where was her talk down? Where was her discussion? It was not. And she's a girl, not a man, a girl. So.
Or a woman. I mean, she still represent a person.
Yes.
And child or not, child is bad, but child or not, she's still a person. She's still somebody's child. Whether you 65 or 16, you're still somebody's child. And I think this is going to get very dicey, because this is one of those things where we are able, when I say we, I'm talking about how the system is, that they are able to say, like you said, there's a weapon involved. So hence they were able to progress to the aggressive type of force so that they can, quote unquote, retain the situation. But what it doesn't say is the background of how we got there. No, it's not the police job to figure out the background of things. But if that person called the police because they felt like their life was threatened, they were being jumped, something was happening and all of that, it is a telltale moment to say that it was a lot. There was more than just a person out there irate trying to stab and kill people, like your boy that walked into the church in Charleston and started shooting people. Even he got a Whopper or whatever he got to eat on his way.
On the way.
So right. So I mean, we got to live with the fact that it's still one of those things where we do have a threat of Black people, and that is problematic in so many ways. And so my concern about this whole thing with her is that it's going to get very dicey. It's going to unleash some different things, and it does make it very hard, because they're going to be able to prove, or attempt to prove why they have to use certain kinds of force. This is why you need some kind of systemic, universal protocol about de-escalation. Because if you have that kind of protocol in place for de-escalation, then everybody got to follow the same rules. And so people don't have to respond based upon what they think is happening,
right?
Or how they may feel. There is a protocol in place to follow. And because we do not have that right now, we have every police officer having to basically analyze a situation and then act accordingly.
Yes.
And that's what you had in this case.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make this
back. Go, George. No, I'm just going to say this still goes back to what we've been talking about for the past year when we talk about mental illness, mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw the footage and just looking at it,
all those adults, I saw one of the men even kick one of the girls on the ground when the officer came.
Mhm.
So this tells they had no respect for the officers. Now, did it go down badly? Because it happened so quickly. And she was like in the moment of getting ready to stab the girl. So I'm sure in his mind, he's trying to figure out, say the woman, what to do. Because if you all go back and look at it, it happened so quickly. But I think she has some type of mental problem or schizophrenic or something. But it's not something just happened because I think she's from this foster care home. And usually those kids have a lot of issues. Now, this issue probably been going on since she was a child. So whatever was going on in that home and all, this is probably not the first time. But I'm thinking these adults there, if I would say that you know what happens when you call the police. You know what's going, you know what happens, and you have to know her. So my thinking is, you know, if we call the police and y'all know whatever her name is, Michaela, you know she acts out, how it's not going to go well.
Well,
So
I
it's
kinda,
something they could do, or they could have done, or
Yeah,
they were all afraid too.
but see, I disagree with that. I have a friend of mine who grew up in a group home, right? And that lifestyle is almost like jail a little bit, you know, because you have all these children that come from different backgrounds. Their parents are in the penitentiary or on drugs, and they get moved from home to home. And so sometimes you may find a good group home and sometimes not. Sometimes you may get a good group of mix of girls and sometimes not. And so you have to get in the mode where a lot of times you have to defend yourself. I've worked in the school system, and there were plenty of times where the two girls were fighting over boys, you know, but how you respond to that, we weren't shooting kids down because they was brawling or they was pulling out a knife or fighting. We don't know what kind of duress she was under because she called the police. She called the police and said the girls were going to jump her, you know, so she was afraid for her life. But we don't get to hear her side of the story because as soon as she came running outside thinking she defending herself, she was shot dead.
You know what? But you know, information is important, and regardless of what her background is or was, it doesn't justify her dying like that. Regardless of whether she came from a two-parent home in the suburbs or came from Section 8 housing. It doesn't matter. And we can, it's easy to lose focus because they will try to put the focus on the wrong thing.
Yes.
Bottom line is our children, black, white, it doesn't, our children do not deserve to die like this.
And my thing
I want to be clear that you are not saying, I'm saying that she should have been shot down.
No,
because she had that knife.
No,
I'm not
we
saying
totally
that.
understand.
What I am saying is the people who were around her even before the cops came, if you know what happens when you call the police, was it something they could have done to prevent that from happening? Well, they didn't have to call the cops because they know if you call the cops, she acts out, so it's not going to go well. It's just not going to go well.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think what they could have done was use a little bit of their muscle. You know, I mean, what kind of training? What kind of training do you have? Yeah. I mean, you know, anybody can look at and survey the situation. And if you walk up on some 16-year-olds, like I can walk up on the little 10, 12, 13-year-olds that hang out in the cul-de-sac in my community, I can tell these some little 10, 12, 13-year-olds, let me go over here and just snatch one of them up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That's the part that I can't get. It's like just because you are an officer and you do have this weapon to protect, then I think you need to be trained better on thinking the better way to handle the situation. She's a 16-year-old girl. Those men or that man could have easily got to her and got to her arm, got to something using a little bit more of muscle than the easy route out, which is to pull your weapon and put 4 bullets in this 16-year-old.
Taser, he didn't even go for the taser.
You're a grown man. You're a grown man.
When
and you can run up on the girl and say, I'm about to get you. Hold on, just get her. Come on, you
But you held that baton
They-
as well.
They also said that the other officers that accompanied them, they did not have weapons out, and they said that they had a shocked look on their face.
I know they did.
He shot that girl.
He
Yes,
shot her.
he did. He did. And the problem is you can't teach sensitivity. When they see us, they don't see their children. Let her have been someone that looked like his daughter or his niece or his neighbor. The resolution skills would have come out. But you rolled up on the scene and you didn't even try to de-escalate the situation at all. Or make an assessment of the situation at all.
I mean, and that's again back to the reform and the protocol. Because if you have a choice and you quote unquote want to say that you felt like your life was threatened, I agree. When he probably got to the scene, it may have been chaotic. Because if you know group home folk, I'm from one of the worst projects in Atlanta. One thing we had to do every day is fight. Wasn't no reason. It had nothing to do with nothing. I could be sitting on the porch, God is my witness, eating a cookie. Somebody come by, slap you. You had to fight. That's group home. How I know? I have a niece who grew up in foster care until she was 18. They fight, and they come from that toxic environment where they jump people. They're all mad kids, especially at those ages. And the reason why they were not chosen to be adopted. They were not selected. And let's be clear, they have very bad foster homes that they're in. The foster home community is not doing well about a lot of those children. They're mistreating them, and they don't know how to deal with kids with behavior. And I agree with Dolores. There are probably some behavior issues. I don't doubt that one bit, because typically they do have a lot of behavior issues spawned from being rejected, feeling neglected, and feeling not wanted, and also having to fight for survival. Fight to be able to sleep in the bed in this room. Fight to be able to say, I'm going in there to eat a Pop-Tart. These are things that they fight about every day. And what probably happened is the rumor went around that this group of girls who kick folk ass, hear me clearly, was coming to kick hers. She knew it. If this girl is 16 and draws a knife, that is that project stuff that I grew up in. We ain't fighting fair. Be clear. If you coming for me with about 5 or 6 of y'all, we don't fight fair. And that's what happened. A police officer in that community knows that. This is not unusual information or behavior or action. It's not unusual. My issue with this is you already know what it's like. If they come over here where I'm living now in my mother's community, you know what it is. But you cannot operate off the mentality of fear of Black people, because you will not have the first thought to de-escalate. The first thought is going to be kill shot. And from whatever experience you may have, PTSD that may go with it, whatever it is. And there, again, I've said this before in this podcast, there's too many officers who are sick in this system and being put back out in this system. If these people have problems and have PTSD from something that may have happened before or whatever may have happened, they are not the ones that need to go out. Somebody else needs to go out. Now, I believe in using force in a situation where we need to use force. I don't believe no police officer need to take themselves into a place where he is going to be harmed or she is going to be harmed, because they do have families. But I thoroughly believe in the fact that this system needs to be reformed, and there need to be another list of ways to respond other than level. If you saw the trial, they talked about the level of aggression when they were talking about George Floyd.
Yes.
Green, yellow, red, the level of aggression.
Yes.
And that already sounds bad.
It does.
Where is the non-aggression? You see what I mean? So we're starting out thinking that we're going into the situation to assess it by levels of aggression. We're already going in with the mentality that we're going to respond in an aggressive way. Aggression begets aggression. So this is a problem that we had. We had them going into this situation, although she was the person that called, they went in with the level of aggression, and the level of aggression with somebody having a deadly force or deadly harm that appeared to be in place. The officer had a choice whether to get the taser or the gun.
Yep.
According to what's already out as their protocol. That's the problem that we have.
Where was the
He or she are not going to be able to say, oh, let me think, is that my daughter? No, that ain't going to happen. So I don't even want you to do that. I want you to have a protocol
Yes.
that helps you de-escalate.
Yeah.
Whether or not you believe that I could be, or someone else he could be your daughter.
Exactly.
Well, Penny Harris says, truth be told, doctor, if you didn't grow up in the system, you don't have a clue. She didn't know. So that's what we're glad to bring the topic of discussion and have a robust discussion at the grown folks table. But before we leave, I got a question. You know, women, we're all women out here, and the season is kind of shifting and changing. And so I want to know what's on your to have shopping list. Does anybody have a to have shopping list? So I was in the market for a new handbag, and I have been searching and shopping and just looking, and I went into Macy's. I'm a Dooney girl. I don't know about you all. I'm a Dooney handbag of choice. That's my handbag of choice. And so I went into the Macy's, and I noticed that they didn't have any Dooneys. Not in my color anyway. They had Joyce colors, but not in the color I was looking for. You on mute, Joyce. You on mute.
I said, that's the one you needed. That's the one you should have gotten.
No, ma'am. I was looking for either a camel or a red bag. But I was on, so you got to be careful because social media gets you caught up. Because I was on social media, these cookies, they dangerous. I didn't know I was looking for a Dooney, and a Dooney came across the screen. I was like, oh, and it was a price, y'all. I knew the price was unbelievable. But I said, okay, let me try this. It said it came with a serial number. Your girl got a knockoff in the mail.
You got a phony. You got a phony.
I got a phony. A hot holy mess phony.
The money you spend at buying the knockoffs, you can go to the outlet store and get a good price. A little bit more money with it and get you a real bag.
Well, needless to say, I'll be going to the outlet to get my bag. I will not be rocking no phony boo.
Drive on to Orlando. That's a good one.
Well, you can do it around me. I wouldn't know the difference. I'm like,
oh, this one you will know the difference. Sugar. The duck. I'm like, what?
They got the strings hanging off of it. The rubber already peeling.
They didn't spell Dooney correctly, right?
It usually starts with the strap. When that strap starts going away, it's a wrap.
It didn't change colors. That's the giveaway.
Come on.
Will be brown and turn black.
What's on y'all list? Go ahead.
A waistline. Can I go buy one somewhere, please?
I need a waist trainer here. Y'all drop some in the comment. Now, let me tell you. We talking about one that me and George need one that's gonna make us skinny in about 10 days. Here. We need a 10-day waist turnaround. And I'm talking about just squeeze us in. We'll worry about the other stuff that's drooping over here and there. Just squeeze us in.
Hello.
You gotta be careful with them waist trainers too, because I've seen women pass out in church with them waist trainers on.
If I'm skinny, I'm
just completely collapse.
It's gonna make me look good. I pass out.
We can recover from the pass out. Put some smell salt and alcohol under my nose, honey. Let me lay down if I'm gonna be skinny.
Oh man.
Concerned.
Hello. But on a serious though, I think my purchases out. I am looking for some deck stuff. So anybody know where I can get some really pretty deck furniture? Because one day I'm going to have somebody on the deck and we're going to have some nice cold drinks.
I'm coming by. Let me know when.
Well, you need to stop traveling. So tell me your schedule.
Y'all ain't letting me come over. I got to get somewhere. Nobody invited me nowhere.
Well, I figure by midsummer or a little later than summer, everybody who would be in the invite would have had a couple of shots, meaning in their arm,
Okay.
meaning in their arm, and it'll be time to do a little bit of small entertaining.
That sounds fun. What's
I'm
on
looking for some
your list, Vicky?
I want to travel. That's really what I want. I don't, I'm in the girls club. I'm just not a big shopper. I do shopping out of necessity. So I will shop, but I don't live to shop. I don't have an extensive shoes in the closet. I buy probably one purse a year, as long as I buy
a bathing suit.
And I have to have a good purse. I'm a Brahmin girl. So I'll buy a good purse and I can carry the same purse. I do not have to switch it up. I've talked my husband into understanding if you buy quality, you don't have to buy a lot, just buy the best. And so, and of course, Libby, I have bought a new bathing suit. I have lost 35 pounds. And so, and I got a couple of bumps, a couple of still little small rolls, but I'm proud of it because before, let me tell you what I had, y'all. We called, when my butt was so big, we called it a kabooty. A kabooty means you can put a cup on your butt and sit up there without falling. So I've got to put my kabooty. And I'm looking good. I'm hoping this summer I'll wear my swimsuit more because we're going to travel. We're going to travel a little bit, and so I'm going to Virginia Beach in a few weeks, and then I'm going to go out to LA, Libby. I want to get out to LA.
Come on. Hey, that's right.
Yeah.
Karen says she has jeans on her list. What's on your list, Delois? What's on your summer needs list?
Wow. I may have to get a car because my grandson will be driving. He'll be 16. And every day he calls, he said, Grandma, are you going to give me your car? Grandma, are you going to give me your car? And I'm like, but Cameron, I will be driving. So I don't know, but we're thinking Papa will take care of that. But
oh my God.
I want to travel. I want another vacation because I know you all know that I went to Vegas with the grandchildren and my daughter. So that's not a vacation. So I'm looking for a vacation. I hope my husband can hear me saying it. I'm looking.
I'll just say she talking to her husband. Yeah, honey.
You hear that, Mr. Grills? I'm looking for a vacation.
You gotta listen closely. Put your ear.
Yeah, because he ain't gonna let you go 6 more days by yourself.
That's right, Vicky Joyce.
No, it ain't gonna happen no more. That's it.
Not
for you, sister.
anymore. Not anymore.
Yeah, say not anymore.
No, you can't do it. You
And
can't
then
do
on
it.
the way, Pastor Cash, we're gonna find a Donenberg for you.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. Just thank you. Look out for us.
Can I ask you, E, because I hear about, you hear about these people. In fact, I've gotten emails recently, and people say that they have, if I send something, I'll get access to this money, right? If I send certain information about myself, you get warned about it every year. They're called scams, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering if you are a target for scams because everybody knows that knockoff.
We had an infomercial. You ever seen those infomercials? It was 2 ladies and they were showing all the colors. And then they had the bucket size, they had the mid size. And I was like, oh, wait. And so I'm that kind of girl that when I buy something, I want it in 2 or 3 colors. Okay. Give me one in that color and that color. And I said, oh my God. I said, oh, I can get 2 colors for the price of one. Right. What about you, Lib? Everybody else talked about what was on their list. Did you say what was on yours? Oh, because you did say a waist trainer. Is that what you said?
I need, listen, a waist trainer. I want to go on vacation. I've been into gym clothes. I ain't went to nobody's gym. Y'all understand? But I joined Fabletics as a member, and I've been getting all these nice, cute little clothes. I am just so into the clothes. Now, I'm walking around nowhere with them on, but they are just super, super cute. So when I do decide to really start working out like I need to, I'm going to be all ready. So I got into that as a fetish for myself. But yeah, I think my summer must have is it probably just going to just be, I need a waist trainer. And I'm serious about that. I need a good waist trainer. I don't want all this cheap stuff. I don't want an uncomfortable one. I need a real good one.
Baby, if you want a good one, Libby, now seriously, it's gonna be uncomfortable. Because back in the day, they called them corsets, right?
Mm-hmm.
They tied you in and roped you up. And guess what, Joyce? I will wear one in a heartbeat. As long as it made me look like I want to.
Okay.
Good one.
And she know that she be out there taking short breaths.
Come on. I'll help you out, Libby. I'm gonna help you out. I know it.
I mean, I just need to wear it for 2 hours a day. If I can get in here for 2 hours a day
I can
for
help.
1 week, listen, I believe in any help I can get. Squeeze me, please.
Well, there you have it. If you all know of a good waist trainer, Libby's in the market for one. Drop it in the chat tonight with the link so Libby can get her waist trainer. And come back and join us again next Thursday. We'll be right back here at the Grown Folks Table podcast. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.